Hey everyone, welcome to Primo NUTMEG, your source for groundbreaking discussions on news, politics, movies, music, sports, and culture, all from the heart of the Nutmeg State. I'm your host Steve, and by the way, if you are a first-time listener, let me suggest that you might want to listen to episode number 40 first. That is a really good way to get to know our show. It's a clip show of season number 1, and it covers interviews that we had with Noam Chomsky, Jill Stein, John McAfee, former WWE champion Bob Backlund, and also has lots of really funny bits in there with my friends who I like to call the Legends of Seatown. So that's a really great way to kind of get to know our show. But on today's episode, we are going to do a gonzo style edition where my buddy Chris and I are going to go out to an independent wrestling show in New York. And this show featured lots of really big name wrestlers: Kurt Angle, Jerry Lawler, the Hardy Boys. And it's really a great way to kind of learn about wrestling too if you're not a wrestling fan, so I would recommend it. Unfortunately, I do also have to mention that the very end of the main event does get cut off, so you won't actually be able to hear that. But I will be back at the end of the show to let you know what did happen. And I also have something else for you, so please do stay tuned, and I hope that you do enjoy the show. This is actually the second Indy show we've gone to this year. We went to one, what was that, like March, I think?
Yeah, sounds about right.
And we saw Sting, who gave that.
Birthday.
Yeah, he gave a little speech, and then just kind of trailed off and walked away. Like there was no real conclusion to that. Remember?
That's my kind of promo though, because you see the guy. I don't care about what you have to say. We've done it. Let's go. Good.
But yeah, Lex Luger was there, Sandman, Raven. And actually, you know what, too? I didn't talk about this on the show yet, but I recently went to a Raw for the first time in several years. Probably, 10 years. I went to a Raw with my producer, McG, who's not here today because just you and I driving to this. But we went to a Raw in Providence and got to see the Dudley Boys. Mick Foley made a surprise return as the Raw general manager.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if it's general manager or commissioner. I get them confused now because it's this weird thing where, like, Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley run Raw, and Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan run, I want to say Thunder, but SmackDown. So the McMahons are more in charge, I think, but then, like, Daniel Bryan and Mick Foley actually decide what happens on the show. I think it's, I don't know. I forget which is general manager and which is commissioner. What sounds more important to you? Which title sounds more important?
Probably general manager would be higher up. Commissioner is just kind of the person, I think, who just books the matches.
Right.
Whereas the general manager kind of is the liaison for all the practical activities of the show.
So how many wrestling shows have you been to in your life?
Just the one we saw in
Really?
February.
You never went to any Monday Nitro or Raw or Thunder or SmackDown?
That is my experience of wrestling, is that indie show I saw.
Well, I have been to a great many in my life. In fact, my dad, Chris Zuccaro, Kyle Stone, and I went to the first show where WWE was WWE. Like, we went there thinking it was a WWF show. It was in the Hartford Civic Center on, I think, May 2nd, 2002, if I had to guess. Maybe May 5th, something like that. And, we got there, and the logo was neutered, and they were saying WWE. It was very confusing.
Did you think you were in the wrong place or something?
No, it just was weird. I always thought it was kind of a missed opportunity, too, or, like, it could have been done a lot differently, because right before that, they had this year-long invasion angle where WCW and ECW had invaded the company, and then they ended up losing this match at Survivor Series where they just kind of both faded away. And then after that, they did this storyline with the NWO, and by the way, I'm wearing an NWO shirt. But they did this storyline with the NWO where they had come to destroy the WWF. And then, like, during this storyline, or like at the end of the storyline, WWE, or the World Wrestling Federation, had lost a lawsuit to the World Wildlife Fund where they had to change their initials and logo and all that stuff. So they had to become something different, and they didn't need to become WWE. Like, they could have, I don't know. I thought it would have been better if they could have done, like, WCW had won the war, or if it was like NWO wrestling or something. You know, there could have been some other way out of it.
Well, I was gonna say, I thought the name change was concomitant with a shift going to becoming a publicly traded company. Didn't that have something to do with it?
Well, their stock symbol before the name change was WWFE. It was World Wrestling Federation Entertainment. And I don't know if they knew that name change was going to happen and they were preparing for it. But I guess my main concern is that it wasn't involved in any kind of storyline. It was just, you went to the show and they were WWE now, and there was no kind of background. And, you know, coming out of the Attitude Era, where a lot of the things that were happening in real life kind of had always transferred into storylines or informed it, it really seemed like they could have done something where there was a storyline reason for the WWF no longer existing. And I think that could have been done in a much more, you know, meaningful, satisfying way for the viewers than just having it change all of a sudden.
Like have the other WWF invade, or have them invade their little, what is it, the World Wildlife Fund?
Like have animals, just have like...
yeah, just kind of
lions
hit a panda in the back of the head with a chair.
Yeah, they could have done that.
Or they could have gone back to, I guess WWF, right? But that wouldn't be as dynamic as like just a letter change.
I don't know, I think that would be cooler, because that's what it was originally. So you could have done like a retro thing, or again, sort of a storyline tie-in for having beaten WCW and ECW and kind of coming full circle and attaching with its roots. It could have gone back to being the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. It sounds better too, right? I mean, it's WWF.
Well, I'm trying to imagine Vince McMahon like pitching it to the audience, like, we're going for a fresh new change. We're going to go the WWF now.
But anyway, on the subject of invasions, you know what I think would be a really good modern invasion angle is doing like an MMA invasion of either WWE or one of the other companies doing it. And actually, that was a missed opportunity for TNA, because they were kind of fooling around with that idea when they were on Spike TV, because Bellator was also on there, so they had some cross promotion. But you know, think about WWE right now, where Brock Lesnar just headlined UFC 200 and then headlined SummerSlam, and then you have CM Punk fighting at the next UFC pay-per-view. It just seems like they could really do a great angle where, you know, maybe these UFC fighters show up in WWE to mock it and, you know, invade.
Now, how do you envision that going? Would they like just beat the tar out of the guys and they would have to like rally back or something, or what?
Well, I do it like kind of a work shoot where these guys come out and make it look like they have real fights with the wrestlers and just beat up wrestlers, you know? And then you could tie that into like Brock Lesnar having kind of shoot fights with people.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but that'd be really like a sort of a meta kind of storyline, because then you're kind of sort of implicitly acknowledging that, you know, wrestling is a work.
Yeah, but they do that anyway. I mean, that was kind of the beauty of the Attitude Era, right? Was that they were admitting it was fake.
I suppose.
I just saw UFC 202, and by the way, I do want to play a clip of that in here somewhere, because what did you hear at all about UFC 202?
Was that the one that I was at?
Yeah, you were there. That's right.
Yes, I heard about it.
So, what did you think of that event?
Well, it was my first, the first MMA event that I saw, and so it was kind of interesting to me to kind of like put things together and the strategies that people were using to kind of win. So, I guess it was very, the fights were very good. Some of them were very short, but very exciting, and other ones were kind of more like people seemed agitated by, but, you know, the tension between the fighters was kind of interesting to me from a strategic point of view. And then I thought the last fight was very tense and good as well.
So yeah, that last fight was between Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz, and that was probably the most even and most exciting match I've seen live, definitely. I mean, I don't know, there are other contenders for the best fight I've ever seen, but those have all kind of been taped. I haven't ever seen a fight that good as it was being broadcast. And it was very exciting, wouldn't you say, too? Wasn't the feeling in that room very electric?
It was, because there not only, in the room there were people who were like, rooting for different people, so there was that going on naturally, but I think that match had like a real story behind it because of the guys involved and like what actually played out over the course of the rounds, like how McGreggor kind of led things off in the first round, but then it kind of like turned around against him, and they kind of both tuckered out, sort of, I guess is a weird word for it, but toward the end. So it was a real like kind of a gritty grudge match that was easy to get sort of sucked into.
And there was people on different sides too, like they really actually cared, because I was rooting for Nate Diaz, because I don't know, Conor McGregor, I understand he's a good fighter or whatever, but he seems kind of like pretentious, and I understand he's doing a character, like I totally get that. He's like trying to be like a Muhammad Ali or something and kind of be an asshole, and even Ric Flair, actually, bring back to wrestling, Ric Flair called him out for taking his character. But I don't know, regardless, like I respect Nate Diaz more because he had actually beaten him. He doesn't really do that so much, or his character more is really just, I think, authentic, where he's just an asshole because he is an asshole, Yeah. I don't know
I was gonna say, doesn't he kind of come off as like a legitimate asshole though? Like he just seems kind of like, fuck you.
He seems like an asshole. I hate to say I can back it up, but like, when you see them fight each other specifically, when you see those two guys in the ring together, I get the impression that Diaz is more dangerous. I get the impression that, he can take hits more, and, if it was like a real street fight and there were no rules, I think Diaz would come out on top, don't you?
Yeah, well, probably. He seems like kind of a mean street kind of guy.
And honestly, too, I mean, I think the argument can be made that he won that fight, or that it was a draw at least. One of those judges scored it as a draw.
It was pretty close. I didn't know who was going to win. I couldn't tell when they had to make a decision. I didn't know who was going to be.
Well, a lot of people are saying also that the reason that those judges picked McGregor instead of having it be a draw or going the other way was because they want a trilogy. They want to have a third fight. So
I can see that.
But let me put a little clip in here, because I did record the end of that fight as we were watching it. So just to make this hyper gonzo, let's put in a clip of when we were watching that fight.
Give him the slap.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Going down.
Oh man, my face hurts. Oh shit.
Oh. There you go.
Oh. Don't shoot for a takedown. Oh. Nate's got this fight, dude. No, he doesn't. Nate definitely fucking won you. Yeah. Conor won 1, 2, and 4.
Fuck, man.
I think he just called it right there. The ref looked like he was jumping in right there.
No, it's the end of the round. The end of the fight.
That was a whole fight.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I really think Nate has it.
No.
I know Conor got a bunch of knockdowns, but fucking Nate fucking had control.
Should be a draw.
I think he landed more strikes. I think Conor landed more power strikes, but I think Nate...
I don't know, man. That's a crazy fight.
Split.
We go to the judges' scorecards
Split.
for a decision. Jeff Bowen scores the
Yeah,
most. 48-47, McGregor. Crowder scores it. 27-27.
Oh, it's a draw.
48-47.
It's a draw.
The winner by majority decision.
Yes!
What?
There's still going to be a third fight. Because of that. Yes.
By 2
Great
points.
fight.
By 2 fucking points.
I
Can you give him that?
I can totally see how you scored for McGregor. I definitely see it. I guess I personally had it for Nate. But
I know you did.
So, we're kind of still driving to this wrestling show now, and we should tell the people what fights we're gonna see prior to.
I don't even know what we're gonna see.
Or matches. You don't?
No, I don't. I'm just kind of tagging along for the fun of it.
Well, let me tell you. Who's gonna be there. Jerry the King Lawler's gonna be there,
Oh, okay.
and he's an old man. He's getting up there. He must be like 65 or something now.
Yeah, didn't he have like a heart attack or something recently? Or
Yeah, and not even like in a match. He had it like while he was calling a match. Cody Rhodes is gonna wrestle Kurt Angle. I think that's the main event, so that'll be pretty good.
oh yeah.
And who else is gonna be there? Jushin Liger. Do you know who Jushin Thunder Liger is?
No, I don't.
Well, it's this guy here. See that?
Okay.
You never seen him before?
No.
I actually saw Jushin Liger wrestle in Japan. I went to a New Japan Pro Wrestling show when I was out there. Went on a train ride by myself for several hours, and it was weird because I don't speak Japanese, so I had to it was like this, where I didn't know where I was going, so I had to keep showing my phone to people and having them just kind of point me in the direction that I was supposed to be going in. I remember because I got off the main train from where I was staying, and then once I got to this city, I took another train to where I thought the show was, but then it wasn't, so I had to take that train back to the center of town. Then I was talking to police officers and taxi drivers trying to figure out where the hell to go. And then once they drove me out to the show, that was cool because I was the only Gaijin there. I was the only Westerner there. And New Japan at the time, especially, but I think they still do, they have a bad guy group. It's like an NWO of foreigners. They're the heels. It was called Bullet Club, and AJ Styles was in it. Carl Anderson was in it. Doc Gallows, a couple other guys. I think Scott Hall's on there. I think it's Cody Hall, I believe his name is. But yeah, that was really neat to go to that and root for them, not just root for the heels, but also kind of be a foreigner there, rooting for the heel foreigner group. It was a very kind of awkward thing. I could kind of tell a couple people were getting mad at me about it, because they weren't just being marks. It was also a weird kind of nationalism thing going on.
Yeah, sort of like a soccer match in Europe, where if you wear the wrong jersey to the wrong neighborhood, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel threatened or anything. I just felt I was getting people angry.
Well, you could have jumped the barrier or something and pretended you were part of the stable.
I probably could have, honestly. I probably could have. So yeah, that. I forgot where I was going with that. What were we talking about before?
You were telling me about the card tonight that we're going to see.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I got totally lost there talking about Jushin Liger. So who else is going to be there? Oh, the Hardy Boys are going to be there too.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember them?
Are these actual matches, or are these just meet and greet, weird trail off promo kind of appearances?
I've been to a lot of these indie shows, and I think that sometimes they're not exactly sure what is going to be a match and what isn't, or who's willing to wrestle and who isn't. I think that they sign these names, and then they kind of figure it out last minute. That's sort of the impression I get.
Okay. So they might even be cobbling it together right now as we speak.
I didn't realize that it was going to be this big. I'm really kind of shocked. I almost feel like I'm going to a WWE event or something,
Is there a certain kind of eclat about a WWE event that adds to the show?
Well, the trick of any wrestling show, and even if it's live or even if it's in person or televised, the thing that makes it exciting is the crowd's involvement. If the crowd is involved and they care about what's happening in the ring and they're engaged in the story that's being told, then you can put on a bad match and it won't really matter so much, because the whole point of wrestling is telling a story and getting the crowd involved in it, Mm-hmm. Having them react. Everything you're doing in the ring is trying to get reaction of the fans. So when you have a crowd that comes in that is passionate and loud and cares, it's a lot easier to have a good show,
Yeah.
If you just have a flat audience. I was just watching Raw the other day, and it was actually in Brooklyn. When you think of that, would be excuse me, it would be like, or the Bronx, it was in New York City. And you figure, you know, that kind of crowd would be very involved and engaged, but they just weren't. They were flat. And like, there was a lot of kind of stuff going on in the story, like the Dudley boys were retiring, and they brought out this chick named Bailey, who was kind of a big deal in their NXT, which is kind of like their farm league sort of wrestling promotion. So there was stuff happening like in the storyline on the show, but like people just didn't really seem to care. They were just sort of like cheering a little bit or half engaged, you know. But you go in, you know, like you watch an old ECW show, look how crazy those fans were about everything that was happening. You know, they were constantly chanting, constantly reacting, you know, like being kind of goofy, like, not, you know, just getting like more excited than even they really needed to be. Like, kind of like, wrestling isn't just about suspension of disbelief. I don't think. I think it's also about like having a good time and like, you know, kind of laughing along with what's happening. Like, that's sort of the energy that I liked about ECW or the Attitude Era. You know, it's kind of, or even like the NWO and WCW, like it's sort of just sort of enjoying it, not necessarily suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of the appeal of it, is just kind of like these kind of big moments where like the whole audience is kind of together on something, just like a big mass reaction to something, like, oh man, that was the perfect thing, and we're all behind it.
And that's really what's so great about like a big spot, like, you know, when somebody goes through a table or something, it's getting that loud pop, that loud reaction where everybody goes, oh, you know, at the
or
same
when
time.
Somebody runs in at like the perfect moment or something, and
yeah, or like somebody like comes back, or somebody like joins the promotion for the first time, like when Jericho joined WWF in '99, like that was a really big deal. Or, you know, any kind of run in. I remember probably one of the most excited times I got in wrestling was when I was watching Nitro, and Macho Man had just won the World Heavyweight title from Nash or Sting. He just won it the night before, and he came out and he was bragging and he said, I challenge anybody to come out. And then right then Hulk Hogan's music hit. It was Voodoo Child. That was his song at the time, because he's Hollywood Hogan. Yeah. And he had been out for like several months because his knee got fucked up in this match. Yeah. So he finally came back, and it was just like such a big thing. And like everybody, you know, I just remember this loud pop of the crowd. So yeah, I mean, that is the important thing. So that's what I would like to see tonight, is just people kind of actually caring about what's happening.
Yeah, it'd be weird to actually like be in that rather than like watching it from the outside. It would be a different experience.
Being a wrestler?
No, I mean like in the big, like sort of audience moments.
Yeah, because that last one we went to, there weren't really any, right?
No, it was just like a...
They did some high spots, like didn't somebody go through a table?
Yeah, but it was just kind of like, you know...
Yeah.
clapping and...
It wasn't a good energy going in. Because remember, like beforehand, they had the guys just kind of sitting around for the autograph signings, and I hate to say it, but like Lex Luger, for example, I just remember Lex Luger sitting there, or like the Sandman too, I believe, and like nobody was talking to them, you know, they were just kind of like sitting by themselves. And I had a flashback to the movie The Wrestler, where there was an autograph signing, and people are just like sitting around this table trying to hawk old VHS tapes and stuff, you know.
Yeah, it's a tough industry.
Yeah, it is. And it's weird for Kurt Angle right now, because he's not in a big promotion. Like sometimes these guys, you know, they can be signed with a big company. Like I think the Hardy Boys are with TNA right now, but like they have permission to go do indie shows, because it's not really competing. You're just kind of doing like this weird exhibition on your day off, you know. But Kurt Angle isn't signed with WWE or TNA or Ring of Honor or New Japan. Like he's not signed with anybody right now. So this is sort of a weird event that he's doing, you know. It'd be good to see him again. I saw him wrestle AJ Styles for the TNA title back in Norfolk, Virginia in like 2010, 2011, something like that.
Hey! What does everybody need? Hey! What does everybody love? Hey! Don't you dare be sour. Clap your hands and feel the power. New Day Rocks! New Day Rocks! New Day Rocks!
I'm really glad that somebody has the Karate Kid theme song. What's his name?
T.K. O'Reilly, I think.
Ah, good name.
Well, it would be if there were TKOs in wrestling.
There are. You get knocked out.
Can you?
Yep.
No, like not a technical knockout though. Like pinned 3 times.
No, you can get knocked out. Like there's a 10 count. I mean, that's a knockout. It's not a technical knockout. Maybe that's like when they lift their hand and they drop their hand 3 times.
Oh. I guess so. Yeah, but then you'd be literally knocked out though.
It's better than fucking Flip. What kind of name is Flip?
It's self-referential.
I was impressed by that match, I have to say. I'm glad that the Karate Kid guy won.
Yeah? I was pulling for that guy with the tattoos.
I was too, but not very many people in the crowd are rooting for him.
Nah. I guess you can't really do that kind of thing and get away with it at like an indie show.
I like that suicide dive though, man. He did that from the fucking top turnbuckle.
Yeah. Got a little bit of sportsmanship going on here.
That's what you do. That's what happened after Warrior beat Hogan. Shook hands in the middle of the ring. You gotta do that.
Rock Hogan too.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the alternative is the guy could go heel and attack him.
Yeah. Didn't happen.
But without like a sense of a continuing storyline, it probably wouldn't make the crowd feel very good.
Well, too bad for Flip. Looks like Flip was a flop. So we have a married Japanese couple teaming with a Boy Scout coming out to John Cougar Mellencamp's small town. How do these how do they pair into a 3-person tag unit?
Well, strange.
She's awesome. First real celebrity of the evening.
She like I haven't heard of her.
She was like a TNA Women's Champion or Knockout Champion. Yeah. Really hot. So for seemingly no reason, they've thrown Hornswoggle into this.
That is true. That's what happened.
I'm glad that he's still doing shows though.
Yeah, it's good to see him out here helping the storyline.
What is he doing in this match?
I don't know. So far, it's been a very strange kind of composite of a match. Yeah, Hornswoggle's on the other team, not the Japanese team.
Well, maybe they're the heels then. I guess the entrances threw me off. Because they're so over, they seem like the bad guys, right?
How could a heel come out to the ring using a John Cougar Mellencamp song?
Well, John Cougar Mellencamp sucks, so.
Yeah, I guess so.
So I guess they're the bad guys. We'll see how this plays out.
Sorry?
So over, supposed to be the good guys.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so they really are so over.
That's where they're.
So they didn't get a really
Mark
good...
Sherman's supposed to be kind of slow.
I didn't understand, but he's reading a rule. He's reading a book. He's reading a book while he's in an armbar.
I see, this
His
is my
wrist
kind
lock.
of character. Vaudevillian. That's how I would wrestle.
It's a bad guy with a book. He's got him in a headlock and he's reading a book.
It's kind of like if Goofy was a wrestler. Like, and he had like a little cartoon montage where the guy was explaining what to do.
That's fucking hilarious.
It's supposed to be like a Boy Scout guy, like a wrestling type thing.
If you want pizza, you can buy pizza.
Ladies and gentlemen, first, from Brooklyn, New York,
Yeah!
please welcome
Yes! Woo!
They have music?
No, he is a jobber. Okay. Ah, there you go. Perfect song. This guy's like fucking 70. It's like watch two fucking senior citizens beat each other up. Yeah! This guy really is like a legend. Him and Barry Horowitz are like the two top jobbers of all time. I like Jerry Lawler, but I'm rooting for the Brooklyn Brawler in this match. Woo! This is the fucking night, Chris. This is the night the Brooklyn Brawler finally wins a match.
I think I kind of remember this guy.
He used to wear like a Yankees jersey. Smoke a cigar.
And his opponent from Memphis, Tennessee, WWE Hall of Famer, Jerry
Well, that was probably the most controversial match of the night, but
Why do you say that?
a lot of backlash from the crowd. But still, I thought it was good.
I mean, it didn't go over well with the...
It's good to drag the old timers out, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I just wish the Brooklyn Brawler had won. That would have been fucking awesome.
He can't, man. He wouldn't be the same character.
That's true. It's kind of like the Chicago Cubs, right? Like, they shouldn't win the World Series because that's not who they are.
Yeah, look what happened to the Red Sox.
Yeah.
The chase is more thrilling than the actual holding of the victory.
But you know what? I'm glad I saw this match because got two legends. I don't know if I'll ever see either one of them again. And really, Jerry Lawler, man, like, this guy's been there. Fucking, he's wrestled them all.
Bret Hart. Doink the Clown.
Macho Man. Andy Kaufman, again. Like, that was really... If it weren't for Jerry Lawler, that whole Andy Kaufman thing would have been, like, nothing, you know?
That's true. But we have to give it up for the other guy.
The Brooklyn Brawler, goddammit. Steve Lombardi. He's a WWE legend. He's wearing a cat mask.
I think it's supposed to be a coyote or something.
I think it's a cat. I think he's supposed to be wearing a cat mask. Wow, Matt Hardy. Everybody's favorite Hardy. I don't know, it's one of the Hardy Boys. It's weird they didn't do a tag team match,
I'm
though.
just thinking about the music selection here.
Yeah. I don't know, man. For me, Matt Hardy was always like the bland one. It's like... But that doesn't mean that he's stupider or less talented. It's like back when the Steiner brothers were tag team, like in the 80s or early 90s, like everybody thought Rick Steiner was the charismatic one. But long term, Scott Steiner was clearly the more charismatic Steiner brother.
But is he a charismatic enigma?
No. He's an uncharismatic non-enigma. I am impressed with how over Matt Hardy has become.
Well, I guess he has a following if people know all his gimmicks and stuff.
Well, they know his catchphrase from TNA, which surprises me because even as a wrestling nerd, I haven't seen that. So these guys are a lot more plugged in than I am. Apparently, he's a vampire.
Yeah, but he has kind of like a Jamaican accent, though. It's weird. I mean, you didn't hear him talking a lot, but what he was doing.
So he's a Jamaican vampire who's into classical music.
Yeah. Well, he's broken, so he's kind of like a 19th century kind of madman, I guess, which is what this is supposed to evoke.
That's a great gimmick. So he's going through the crowd now, biting people.
Well, Beethoven was a vampire, didn't you know?
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be a good book. And he has this delete thing, like... It's almost like he's swiping right, though, like a Tinder thing. Or left. I don't know if it's left or right, but...
I don't know. I haven't used it.
He's doing like a delete thing, so he's a Jamaican 19th century vampire who's making social media references.
Well, it's a potpourri of references that people didn't even know they wanted together.
So yeah, this guy's a big deal. Former WCW Cruiserweight Champion, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. He's been around since the 80s. He's really like an old man. He's pretty badass, huh? Like his costume's pretty cool, right? He's like some kind of weird demonic Power Ranger. See, I think Jeff Hardy's more interesting than Matt Hardy, but I still never got really the appeal of the Hardy Boys.
I was never a big Jeff Hardy fan.
If you need to call yourself charismatic, are you charismatic?
I would say no. I mean, unless you make it work somehow, like somehow the way The Rock did it was different than the way he does it. I don't know. But I guess when he calls himself like great, he didn't like actually like want that to get across, you know?
Well, it started off as like a heel thing.
Yeah.
And then
I mean,
like people bought into it.
His character has never really made sense to me as a face.
You know what the weird thing about The Rock was? Is that the fans determined whether he was a face or a heel. So like, he started off as a face, right? He was supposed to be Rocky Maivia, this good guy.
Yeah.
Fans didn't like him, so he became a bad guy because of the fans. And then he started doing this like jock gimmick and having like catchphrases, and people started liking him even though he was a bad guy. And he became a good guy, did that for a couple of years, and then fans stopped liking him and like forced him to become a heel.
Yeah.
So like it really kind of, the fans like determined the course of The Rock's career. At least he's sober. Seemingly. I don't know. I was really looking forward to that match, and that just didn't deliver.
Yeah, it was a little bit predictable, and
They were like really careful with the few high spots they did, you know?
yeah.
They just like wanted to make sure the other guy was going to catch him, and I don't know. It's very kind of slow.
Wasn't even really that long either. Like there were a bunch of other matches that went way longer than that.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed. Let's see what they're gonna do. Oh, yeah, they're gonna be friends afterwards because they're both good guys. They're both legends, right? Quote unquote legends. So they're gonna hug and shake hands. Ready? See, he's clapping for Liger. Jeff Hardy's clapping for him. Shaking hands. Hugging. There you go. See? Exactly.
That's what you do.
Good guys always are friends at the end. Bowing to each other on the ground, kissing the mat towards each other.
Ryback's not going to come out. Pictures though.
I'm hoping that the main event is a little more dynamic. Kurt Angle really is like one of the best wrestlers of all time, though. So I'm thinking of the main
I
event.
always enjoyed him when he was like in WWF.
Yeah.
I thought he had a good character and he was a good worker, and he just
Because he can do everything, right? He can wrestle on the mat. He can do like suplexes. He can go off the top rope. Like there's not any real dynamic that he can't deliver on. You know?
yeah. And he was one of those kind of heels, like my favorite kind of heel, which is like a guy who kind of looks like an idiot, but like sort of like backs it up because he's like got like a crazy side rather than just like someone who's like kind of a jerk up front, but just kind of tries to like escape, like a Skeletor kind of villain, I guess. I don't know. So
I think he's the good guy in this match, though.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, Cody Rhodes definitely the heel. I like this guy. It must be tough for him because you got Dusty Rhodes as your father, you got Goldust as your brother. You know, very difficult to make a name for yourself. Right? I think it's harder or easier. Both, maybe, in ways.
Yeah, I'm sure it's kind of complicated.
It's probably easier to get your foot in the door, but then once your foot is in the door, more difficult to like be a distinct figure, right? Yeah, WWF music. I think there's little doubt that Kurt Angle is going to win this. Right?
I don't know. They said he sucked.
They could be swerving us like all night long. They could have the more popular name win, and then now they're gonna have Cody Rhodes win us. See, they're saying you suck, but it's endearing.
Thank you, Kurt! 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 Thank you, Kurt!
That's what I'm talking about, though. Like it's, you know, they do all the suplexes and then they do like the mat stuff too, you know?
Yeah.
It's a really well-rounded match. Foot stomping. It's always good. They clothesline each other. Evenly matched.
It could go anyway now.
This is another match too where I don't really think there's a heel or a face. Like they actually both were cheered coming to the ring, and they're both being cheered right now.
And they shook hands at the beginning, so...
Yeah.
So, folks, as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, I didn't actually get the end of this main event. Unfortunately, I dropped the ball, or as they say in wrestling, I botched the finish there. It actually was a very exciting end to the program. Cody Rhodes upset Kurt Angle. Essentially, Kurt Angle, a veteran who's nearing the end of his career, put over a younger star. And that was really awesome that he did that. And unfortunately, I didn't get it on tape, so do have to apologize. The only thing that I can really offer instead of that is a clip of the car ride home where Chrispy and I had a really long, dry conversation on philosophy. So here's part of that.
Well, to ask me whether objective truth exists or not is the same thing as asking me whether God exists or not.
No, it's not. I disagree with that. And
What's the difference?
well, I hate to use her as a source, but Ayn Rand, for example, was an atheist who was an objectivist.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone actually does want to hear that. So instead, what I'm going to do is put in another clip from one of the unaired editions of Primo NUTMEG. This is a show that Chrispy and I did with Hurricane Shane a few months back, so I'm going to put in a clip of that. I hope that you do enjoy it. That'll play us out. And also, I hope that you did enjoy the show. I think that it was good to kind of provide some insight into the world of professional wrestling and what it's like to go to an independent show. So hope that you folks did enjoy it. Please do stay tuned for future editions of Primo Nutmeg. We do have some big guests coming up. And if you could, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram and SoundCloud, and subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube. That would be awesome. So thanks again. Hope that you enjoyed the show, and until next time.
All right, Steve.
It's your show now, Shane. This is your show. What do you want to do? Let's do it. This is your
Let's
show.
start
Starting
the show.
right now.
Welcome to Hurricane Shane Cast. All right. So, attack me, boss.
Shane, what's your position on global warming?
Yeah, well, it's pretty easy. Why don't we become more aware of what's going on instead of, oh, I'm just going to take my bottle and throw it in the trash. I'm just going to take my garbage and just throw it everywhere. That's what it comes down to. It's just fucking stupid people.
Well, Shane, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you my Pokemon Go story. I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay, go for it.
Because I was so curious about the game and because, I played it a lot when I was in 7th grade. It was huge back then. And everyone's getting into it. It seems like everywhere you look, there are people playing it. When you're out, I notice that when I'm out and I have my phone out, I kind of have to tell people I'm not playing it. Just kind of keep my reputation unsullied.
Right.
But it was so interesting to me that I decided to get it. And it was very strange. One night it woke me up because there's like a little timer on it that alerts you to when there are Pokemon around. So I go out and I'm sort of wading through, Caterpies and spirit Pokemon. If you don't know, by the way, Shane, Pokemon are basically like enhanced animals. They're like animals with powers. Like instead of a mouse that can shock you. Right?
Okay.
So, I was going and it led me to a cemetery. I was after a Ghastly, which is a ghost Pokemon that kind of looks like a bowling ball. A lot of Pokemon say their names as their call. It's kind of a giveaway.
Like Pikachu?
Yeah. Some of them just grunt, but most of them. So it led me actually through a cemetery, which was kind of creepy. I wasn't sure, but I just kept going. And I eventually got to this tower that was near the cemetery. Very dark and foreboding. And it was like 3 a.m. or something. Nobody was around me. But I figured if I could catch this Ghastly, I would be the coolest person on the street. So I went inside. I was looking around the dilapidated old tower. It had old wooden floorboards that weren't very secure. And as I was walking around, I heard something rattling above my head. And it was a chandelier. And the chandelier actually wound up falling on top of me. And it killed me. And
what the fuck?
That would have been the end of me. That would have been the end of me. But one of the virtual Pokemon actually pulled my spirit. This is a weird cosmology, but stay with me. It pulled my spirit out of my body. And it took me on
That's awesome.
a magic flying journey through the world where I could see everything. Kind of like
what the fuck?
Kind of like the magic carpet ride in Aladdin, except I was with a ghost. And it was my disembodied spirit sort of flying around the
Okay, hemispheres.
upper reaches of Connecticut. It was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. Transformative. Like you can't be the same after something like that.
No, you can't.
So then afterward, I got kind of chummy with the ghosts. There were a couple of them. They were, virtual ghosts, but they were hanging out. They had a TV. You're just playing games and stuff. But eventually, after the shows ended and the pot was all smoked and the laughter died down a little bit, I realized that the ghosts themselves were really just... they were just wandering emptiness. They were dead. They were dead meaning. They once had flesh and bones, but now they wandered the earth hungry. And I realized that I couldn't live that kind of life. So I went to them and I told them I have to get back to my house. And they cried. They cried ghost tears and snow fell on them. Are you following me? But I had to go. So they took my spirit and they put it back in my body, which was okay after all, I guess.
She will get back to you.
Yeah, it's a good song, man. If you want some good blue-eyed soul, you go to Michael McDonald.
I keep looking, we're not in love anymore. I keep forgetting things will never be the same again. I keep forgetting how you made it so clear. I keep forgetting. Every time I look, every time I see your face. So we are going to talk about this. Why am I so fucked in the head? Go ahead, Chris.
You've been drinking?
Fine.
Shane. How many years have you been familiar with Walker, Texas Ranger?
I've watched every episode.
Yeah.
Almost every episode. Sorry. An
What's your
amazing
favorite
show.
season?
The first two. Just goes off into its own reality.